All right, what up, y'all? Now look, I'm gonna try to get through this because this story is crazy. So when things are really crazy, you know how hard they are to explain because they're like, I mean, how do you explain the inside of a tornado, right? Unless you've been in it. So I just want to tell you guys, don't feel bad. Do not blame yourself for not knowing that someone was crazy. Okay? Don't blame yourself and look back and be like, oh, well, I should have seen the signs, or let a therapist tell you, well, you should have known, or a friend or family member, right? Some of that shit you can't read. Let me tell you about a story. I'm gonna use the real names because they shouldn't have did that shit. So, I had this friend from high school named Rob. Okay, nothing romantic. I'm completely not attracted to him, so there was never anything like that. But you know when you have your little social groups, it'll be you and so and da 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 and da da da, and y'all just like do whatever together all the time. Well, it was like that. So it was like me, Rob. We had another friend named Greesh. And sorry, I'm trying to adjust my. But anyway, and we all kind of like hung out sometimes or whatever. So fast forward, we're all still connected or whatever. And Rob is actually featured in one of my videos. He was featured in the one from Halloween where I dressed like Harley Quinn and he came out as the Joker, right? At the end of the video. Now what Rob did was really, really messed up. And what he did was Rob says, and he's been saying for years that he has Native American family members, right? And one of his family members that was Native American was his Uncle John. Now, when Rob and I reconnected and just started like hanging out more as friends, like a year and a half ago, he was like, "Oh, I talked to my Uncle John about you all the time, man. We're like all cool. Like, you should befriend him on Facebook." So I went and befriended Uncle John, right? And so Uncle John immediately started talking to me and calling me his niece and being like, "Welcome to the family. You're so chill, whatever." Uncle John is a shaman on a Native American reservation, which was like right up my alley because I'm all about that shit, right? So I'm like, okay. And so I don't talk to Uncle John a lot, but I talk to him occasionally. And Uncle John also has he runs his own business, selling handmade, obviously, like handmade Native American items from this shop in North Carolina, right? And I'm like, okay. So John doesn't have a lot of time to talk, understandably, because he's always like, I gotta go open up the shop, or I gotta go close up the shop, or it's the end of my lunch break, but I just wanted to check in on you. So fast forward from there, it started to be that, and number one, let me give you this information real quick. Now, my friend Rob, my ex-friend Rob, is an actor. He actually went to school for acting. He also went to clown school, right? Which is not weird to me because I'm an artist who also then went to college and school and all that shit for art. So I know a lot of musicians, I know a lot of actors, I know a lot of like, scientists and all types of writers, and everybody with a creative mind, right? I know a lot of people, right? So this comes into play later though. So Rob eventually gets this job at a UPS store, okay? And so Rob works nights and he's lonely all the time. I've seen him go through a few relationships or whatever. So he had just become newly single, which I always wonder, like, I wonder why these women seem to be like running from him, right? But I'm not having sex with him, so I don't know what he's like in the romance department, but I know he's a very kind of clingy friend, right? And so every time Rob would call me sometimes, occasionally while he was on his break during the night shift at the UPS place or FedEx or whatever, it was FedEx, right? Whatever we would talk about, Uncle John would randomly kind of chime in occasionally, seemingly serendipitously, right? After I would talk to Rob. Now, later on, I was speaking to well, Uncle John's conversation started getting a little concerning to me. Why? Because he was starting to say things after like months of kicking it with Uncle John. He started to say things like, "Oh, what do you think about dating Rob?" Or "Who do you think is smarter between Rob and his friend Shane?" Or "Who do you think, you know?" And for a Native American shaman, I wouldn't think that he would be concerned with anything like that. So I was starting to look at John, and I thought that John was sneakily trying to hook me up with Rob, who I did not want. Okay? So I started kind of like shying away from Uncle John a little bit because I'm like, I'm not gonna, I don't want to like be mean, but like I don't want to date Rob, right? And I don't want to shit on your nephew, but I'm not attracted to Rob. So um, later on, though, things started coming together to where right when Rob would hang up, Uncle John would come online and talk to me and ask me things and already know what we were talking about, which I didn't find to be weird because if you were a Native American shaman, you're spiritually in tune and you probably have prophetic or psychic or clairvoyant abilities. So I'm like, okay, I'm not scared of that. I'm very hip to that. So I didn't question how he knew what he knew. But it was just the timing of how close when Rob would hang up that Uncle John would randomly reach out. And then eventually I was talking to one of our mutual friends, right? And I was like, I've been getting kind of close, talking to Uncle John for advice, Rob's Uncle John. And my friend said, our mutual friend said, hold up, wait, you talked to Uncle John? I'm like, yeah, I've been talking to Uncle John sometimes for advice or whatever. He was like, that's not possible. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, Uncle John's been dead for a long time. And I was like, the reason why Uncle John knew different things that me and Rob talked about is because Rob had a fake separate account on Facebook posing as Uncle John. And Uncle John had been dead. So not only had he been using his dead uncle's identity to try and coax me sneakily into dating him, and also trying to coax me sneakily into giving him random information about myself and what I thought about things in life and things like that. Rob had taken on this whole other persona. He even had been at my home before and been on his phone acting as if he was talking to said Uncle John. And Uncle John would then reach out to me right after. But of course, Uncle John reached out to me right after while Rob was at my home. Because Rob was navigating that through his phone while acting like he was texting another family member. That shit's crazy. Okay? That shit is crazy. How does one see that shit coming? Okay? And what's more hurtful is that he did that shit knowing that I was actively going through my stalker situation with my ex-narcissistic ex-husband who's a narc. So he just piggybacked off that shit and was just as disgusting. Okay? Not only did it turn out that Uncle John was dead, but the image, after tracing and finding out whose image that was, it was a Native American man that actually did own a shop in North Carolina, right? However, that Native American man was not related to Rob in any way. And when contacting that Native American man and saying, hey, is this you? Are you related to this dude? That Native American man that owned that shop in reality got upset, contacted Rob and said, look, stop using my image, take the name of my shop down. You're messing with my business. Don't use it anymore. And Rob continued to do that. Okay? So, I guess in the end, I confronted Rob about this. Okay, I literally said, look, dude, because I thought that I knew you for as long as I did, I'm going to keep it real with you. I know what's happening and I know what you've done, and I think it's really gross and my feelings are hurt. What do you have to say for yourself about pretending to be your dead Uncle John under the face and guise of a Native American man in North Carolina that that you don't know whose image and shop name you're using as a cover up for your separate and secret identity? You know what he said? And this is how you talk, like a fucked up ass nerd. I would never do that. I would never do that. So he didn't even have the balls to admit what I clearly presented evidence of him having done. Right? Needless to say, I chopped that bitch off. He's done. He's done. I said all that to say this. Because the story is way crazier and shit. But I'm already at 11 minutes and 4 seconds. There's just no time to just bombard you with all of that. But like, certain things people do are just, it's a form of insanity that because you're not a demonic piece of shit, you would never even know to like look for that. There would never be in a million years, until now I would. But before that, there would never be a time where I would be like, you know what? Let me go back into my high school friendship with this person that I'm still friends with and make an assumption that maybe someone else in my social media is really that same person posing as their dead relative just to try to coax me into a relationship with them while I'm going through an abusive situation. You see how fucking weird that sounds? Yeah, but it happened. So, if you think yo ass was having a weird day, join the club. You are not alone, baby. There's no way in certain situations that you could have known that narc or that weird ass person, because a narcissist is just a weird piece of shit bitch pretending to be someone just like that guy Rob. Okay? There's no way for you to know that this person is impersonating something else. Those one of those trial by fires, gotta find out on your own. So yeah. Anyway, story time. And I hope that somehow, hopefully it doesn't resonate with you, but I hope it somehow soothes you from blaming yourself for not picking up on psychotic things. All right, love y'all. Bye.